New York City are turning into ghost towns due to the homeless crisis. Travel documentary. Imagine walking through Times Square in 2025. The dazzling neon lights shine brightly, and crowds rush through the streets. Yet just a few steps away, you'll find individuals seeking shelter on cold concrete. It's not by chance. This is where they have no choice but to stay. New York, once the symbol of the American dream, is now facing challenges. Over 75,000 individuals are without stable housing, and the numbers continue to climb, even as the economy shows signs of recovery. How could a city so rich in resources allow this to continue? In this documentary, we take you beyond the city's iconic lights to uncover the tough reality. What is driving this issue? What are the causes behind the growing crisis? Join us as we explore the less discussed, hard truths of New York's transformation. This is a story you won't want to miss. Number 1. An unprecedented homeless crisis. You'd think in the richest city in the US, people would run out of excuses before they run out of homes. But somehow, New York City keeps surprising us. As of March 2025, an estimated 350,000 New Yorkers are living without stable housing. That includes those in shelters, with relatives, or simply sleeping on benches that definitely weren't designed as memory foam mattresses. Every night, over 114,000 people stay in shelters. The rest? They turn subway stations, alleyways, and park corners into makeshift bedrooms. A few steps away from high-end rooftop bars, someone's fighting for a warm sidewalk spot. Homeless crisis doesn't knock anymore, it just walks right in. And here's the plot twist. Many were once middle class. They filed taxes, they had jobs, some even had pets with Instagram accounts. But between rising costs and high taxes, life threw curveballs, layoffs, illnesses, rent hikes, and boom, from rented apartment to sleeping bag. We often hear that New York is a city of dreams. True, until you start dreaming under scaffolding. It's not just about statistics, it's about real people, seniors, veterans, single parents, living outside not because they want to, but because there's no place left in the budget or the building. The US may lead in GDP, but when it comes to supporting its most vulnerable, let's say it's still in rehearsal. So, what would it take for us to notice? A tent in your front yard, a sign on your door saying, "Shelter full." Let's talk about it. Have you ever walked past a tent city and wondered, how did it get to this point? Number 2. Living costs that punish survival. Let's talk numbers, not stock prices or tech valuations, but breakfast. In New York City, a bagel, coffee, and eggs can run you over $20. That's not brunch, that's rent in disguise. Think it's just inflation? Try living here. A dozen eggs hit $8 back in March 2025. Milk, double the pre-pandemic price. And don't even ask about orange juice. It now costs more than some phone data plans. Survival, it seems, comes with luxury pricing. But it's not just food. Utilities, healthcare, metro cards, everything competes in a race to be unaffordable. The average monthly cost of living, excluding rent, is over $1,500. For seniors relying on Social Security checks under $1,800, the math doesn't just not add up, it mocks you. Meanwhile, high taxes keep climbing, like it's a competitive sport. You'd think with all that public funding, some things would get easier. But somehow, basic survival keeps getting harder. New York has now outpaced San Francisco, Los Angeles, and Washington, D.C. in living costs, according to Bloomberg and Numbo. Congratulations! We win the award for most expensive struggle. And while we're at it, what exactly are we paying for? Public bathrooms are rarer than payphones. Trash cans overflow. A ride on the subway might include a surprise musical or someone trying to sell you socks. This isn't meant to complain, it's to ask, when did staying alive become a premium service? And how long can people afford to keep subscribing? Number 3. Manhattan's wealth, poverty, and paradox. Manhattan, where the skyline reaches heaven, but the street level struggles to reach minimum dignity. It's a place where one elevator takes you to a rooftop infinity pool, and one wrong turn takes you to an open-air bedroom, with 0 stars, no Wi-Fi, and lots of rats. This is the borough that sells the dream, but lately it's been offering the sequel, the reality. On paper, it's luxury, power, prestige. In person, well, West 39th Street could use less exclusive and more trash pickups. Penn Station, once a symbol of movement and modernity, now doubles as a waiting room for people going nowhere fast. Need security? The skyscrapers have 3 doormen. The sidewalks, not even one patrol car after dark. Officers have been quoted saying they prefer not to escalate. That's a polite way to say, we'll be over here, pretending we didn't see that. But let's not panic. There's still plenty of wealth. It's just really good at hiding, mostly in tax shelters, luxury condos, and penthouses with more bathrooms than residents. Meanwhile, below, someone's cooking dinner over a trash can fire. Call it urban contrast. Or just Tuesday. Hell's Kitchen has transformed. Not gentrified, not abandoned, something in between. Like a forgotten middle child, too tough to pamper, too pricey to ignore. And the residents? They've mastered the art of living with style, on a shoestring. Sometimes, literally. It's tempting to ask, who let this happen? But maybe the better question is, did anyone ever really have control? Because here, the chaos doesn't crash the system. It is the system. Stylish, surprising, and just a little unhinged, like Manhattan itself. If New York City had a new nickname after everything we've explored, what would it be? Drop your creative new name for the city in the comments. The wilder, the better. The best ones could be featured in our next episode. Stay tuned. The story's just getting started. Number 4. Times Square. From icon of freedom to homeless crisis. Imagine Times Square, the beating heart of New York City. It's where the American dream comes alive, where people gather from all over the world to witness the energy of the city. Neon lights, busy streets, and a promise of endless opportunity. But hidden behind the glitz, there's a darker reality: homelessness. The very streets that embody prosperity are increasingly becoming a refuge for those who have nowhere else to turn. Once a beacon for new beginnings, Times Square now tells a different story. It's no longer just a place for excitement and dreams. Now, it's a battleground. Every day, hundreds of homeless individuals occupy the streets, treated as invisible by a system that's supposed to protect them. In a place that once represented freedom, these people are now relegated to the sidelines. The irony is glaring. What was once a symbol of opportunity has turned into an area where the vulnerable are pushed aside. Just think about it. Over 66,000 homeless people walk the streets of New York City, and many of them find themselves sleeping in the shadow of Times Square. The city's officials claim to provide support, but the reality on the streets is different. The homeless are often ignored, their suffering dismissed. How did a place that celebrates freedom and prosperity become a cold, indifferent environment for the homeless? Here's the truly unsettling part. The police have been seen removing homeless people from the benches as if their presence is an inconvenience. Times Square, once a symbol of liberty, now feels more like a place where people are exiled if they don't fit the ideal image of a perfect New Yorker. It raises a question. What does it say about us when a place that represents liberty and dreams has become a battleground for those who are invisible? Is this the society we've created? A city that casts out its most vulnerable, treating them as obstacles to its perfect image? But not all hope is lost. There are organizations, people, and communities trying to change this. They're giving a voice to those who are often silenced. Times Square can still be a symbol of freedom for everyone. The change starts with us. So let's ask ourselves, how can we bring the spirit of liberty back to Times Square for all? Number 5. Real people, forgotten lives. Anna, 78, never imagined her life would end up like this. Her home, the one she worked so hard to keep, was lost when the person listed on the lease moved away. The paperwork was forgotten, and so was she. Now, Anna's days are spent in the limbo of an uncertain future, fighting for a handout that doesn't seem to come. Then there's Mia, a 16-year-old girl who left her foster family behind. She found shelter outside a church, trying to escape her past. All she wants is something simple: a roof over her head, kindness, and a world without war. But how do you ask for peace when survival is your only concern? Mia's idea of a dream is something most people take for granted. But to her, it's a luxury. James was once a man with a family, a steady job, and a future. But that was before his wife fell ill, and everything he had crumbled away. After she passed, he lost it all. He asked for a few weeks of stability to get back on his feet, but the system couldn't offer him that. No room for a second chance. Just a bed and a place to sleep. What stung the most was not the cold or hunger. It was the look from strangers. The look that says, "You don't belong." These aren't stories you hear often. These are the faces behind the headlines that we don't see. This is the human toll of poverty and the homeless crisis. And it's not just one person. It's thousands. What do you think? How can we change a system that overlooks so many? Or do we just turn our heads and pretend these lives don't matter? Number 6. The ghost zones under the city. Ever find yourself caught in the daily rush, too busy to notice what's happening around you? But beneath the city's bustling streets lies a truth we can't keep ignoring. The New York subway, once the pride of modernity, has turned into something far darker. It's become a home for those who have nowhere to go. Each day, hundreds of people board the trains not just to get somewhere, but because they don't have anywhere else to be. The subway, once a symbol of the city's efficiency, has now become a place of survival. Homelessness has infiltrated the very system meant to bring people together. It's not just about getting from one place to another anymore. For too many, the subway has become a place to sleep, to eat, to survive. The benches that were once intended for commuters are now claimed by those who have nowhere else to turn. The rats, the dirty blankets, and the strangers who find comfort in this grim world. It's all part of the everyday scene underground. What's even more unsettling is how invisible it has all become. The subway cars, once packed with busy commuters, are now just as crowded, but with a different kind of desperation. Homeless individuals sit quietly on the floors, in the corners, or even stretch out across multiple seats. Their presence is so common that it no longer shocks anyone. We've learned to ignore it, to act as if we don't see. But does that make it go away? And here's the thing, it's getting worse. With the rise of the homeless population, more and more people are turning to the subway for refuge. What was once a quick, efficient way to travel now feels like a lifeline for those who have no other options. But the system designed to keep us moving forward has become a place where the most vulnerable are left behind, with no real support in sight. Let's face it, how much longer can we pretend that this is okay? The issue of homelessness isn't just something we can leave to the shadows. It's right under our feet. What do? Do we walk past, ignore it, or start having the hard conversations needed to change the system? The New York subway was built to connect, but now it's up to us to decide if it's going to continue to divide. Number 7. Image for brokenness. When discussing the homelessness crisis, it's often easy to focus on the statistics, but the truth is, behind every number is a person with a story. Take elderly individuals in New York, for example. Many lose their homes when a leaseholder passes away or moves on. One case is that of Mary, a woman in her late 70s who lost her apartment after her husband's death. His name was on the lease, and when he died, the apartment was no longer available to her. She applied for housing assistance, but her request went unnoticed and unprocessed. With no family in the city, Mary now spends her days wandering through shelters, unsure of where she'll sleep next. She's not alone. Many elderly New Yorkers are falling through the cracks of a broken system that's supposed to protect them. There's also the heartbreaking story of Eva, a young girl who fled an abusive home. To escape the violence, she sought refuge on the steps of a church. Eva is now one of the thousands of youth living on the streets. Every day is a struggle to stay safe, and her only wish is to find a place to call home, a place where she feels protected. Eva's wish is simple: safety, kindness, and a home. It's a wish many children and teenagers share, yet it remains out of reach. But what happens when adults lose everything? John's story is one of profound tragedy. He was once a father with a stable job and a home. But when his wife fell ill and medical bills began to mount, he lost his job. Unable to cover medical costs, they were evicted, and now John and his children are living on the streets, unable to get into a shelter due to overcrowding. For John, the life he knew is gone, his family, his home, and his dignity. His story is a painful reminder of how fragile stability can be. These are not isolated cases. Homelessness in New York is an epidemic affecting families, elderly individuals, and children alike. Thousands of families are living paycheck to paycheck, but a sudden crisis, whether it's medical, financial, or personal, can push them over the edge. When will we stop ignoring these realities? How many more people need to fall through the cracks before we demand change? Number 8. Difficulty in survival. New York City, once a symbol of prosperity and opportunity, is now facing an alarming transformation. The relentless rise in cost of living and skyrocketing rents are pushing more and more families to the brink. With an average rent of nearly $3,000 a month for a one-bedroom apartment, even those with stable incomes are finding it increasingly difficult to afford a place to live. The harsh reality: many people are being pushed out of the city altogether. Consider the story of Danielle, a 46-year-old mother living in her car with her daughter. She's turned the back of her vehicle into a makeshift home, but her part-time job simply doesn't pay enough to cover rent for a small apartment. Danielle's story is becoming more common, As families in New York struggle with living costs, many are now forced to live in their cars or move in with relatives because they can no longer afford rent. Despite their hard work, many are finding themselves poorer than ever. This housing crisis is not just a problem for the homeless, it's affecting everyone trying to survive in one of the most expensive cities in the world. High taxes and steep living costs are making it harder for people to make ends meet. As the problem grows, more and more people are being forced to leave the city, and neighborhoods are beginning to look deserted. The homelessness crisis in New York City is worsening. Over 60,000 people are currently homeless in the city, and with the housing market becoming increasingly unaffordable, this number is expected to rise even further. For many families, it's a choice between living in their cars or facing the streets. What happened to the city that once prided itself on offering opportunities for all? Is this the New York City we envisioned? A place where hard-working families can no longer afford to live, and where even those with two incomes struggle to make ends meet? It's time for change. We must ask ourselves, how much longer can we allow this crisis to continue? New York's future is at a crossroads. Can we make it a place where everyone has a home, or will we continue to let the homeless crisis turn this once thriving metropolis into a ghost town? Comment below with hope for change if you think there is still time to find a solution. We want to hear your thoughts and continue this conversation. Number 9. Buffalo, the city by the changing sea. Buffalo, the second largest city in New York State, has long been known for its industrial legacy and the stunning natural beauty of nearby Niagara Falls. However, the city is now facing a homelessness crisis that affects 1,432 individuals. The decline of manufacturing, persistent unemployment, and deteriorating housing conditions have left many residents struggling to find stability. The city's economic challenges, exacerbated by high taxes and a shrinking job market, have only deepened the divide between those who thrive and those who are left behind. In a region with brutal winters, the situation is especially dire. Shelters are operating at just 60% capacity, yet they regularly turn people away due to lack of space. This forces many to face freezing temperatures outside without any secure place to go. Short-term efforts to remove temporary camps in the downtown area provide only temporary relief. Those displaced, like many others, often return because there is no long-term solution for their housing. From an expert's perspective, this housing crisis reflects the systemic gaps that plague Buffalo's social safety nets. While organizations like Buffalo City Mission step in to fill the void, providing meals and job training to help people regain stability, these efforts are limited by the city's lack of affordable housing and insufficient resources. Volunteers work tirelessly, offering blankets and hot meals in the harsh winter months, but these interventions are not enough to address the root causes of the problem. Initiatives such as Housing First aim to provide long-term housing solutions, but with only 200 affordable housing units projected to be completed by 2025, the city's efforts are still far from meeting the demand. The fact that 1,432 people remain homeless in the city highlights the growing urgency of addressing this issue. Experts agree that without a comprehensive strategy to provide both immediate relief and long-term housing solutions, the homelessness crisis will only deepen. Buffalo's challenges reflect broader economic struggles across upstate New York, where recovery has been slow and the demand for affordable housing far exceeds supply. The city's future hinges on its ability to implement effective solutions that tackle both the symptoms and the causes of homelessness. Can Buffalo rise from this crisis, or will it be left to fade into the shadows of its former industrial glory? Number 10. Solutions and hope. Let's cut to the chase. We've seen the struggle, now meet the spark. Solutions and hope are not just nice-sounding buzzwords. They're happening right now. Do you want to fix this? Let's dive in. First, housing first programs are changing lives. Imagine moving in. No hoops, no hurdles, just a front door key in your hand. In Syracuse, James, a veteran, found stability this way. He went from sleeping in his car to paying rent, and now volunteers to help others. That's not charity. That's empowerment. Non-profits like People's Path are taking action, but their efforts are just one part of the solution. It's not only about big hearts, it's about coordinated efforts that combine food assistance, mental health counseling, and job training. However, these solutions must be backed by systemic policy changes, affordable housing programs, and a broader commitment from both the government and community. Community dialogues, like the one in Brooklyn's Sunset Park, bring local voices into real change. Have you ever joined one? Technology is pitching in too. A mobile app now maps shelter beds in real time. Another tool analyzes public data to spot areas with growing need. Efficiency up, waste down. Sounds good, right? Training and education programs are teaching people skills, from resume writing to plumbing. I mean, who doesn't want to fix a sink or draft a killer cover letter? Affordable housing is central. Building new units, rent control, rental subsidies. But here's the challenge. It's a long game. Meanwhile, mental health services must ride shotgun. One without the other doesn't cut it. What if governments, non-profits, and communities truly collaborate? That's where real magic happens. Not another donor gala, but coordinated action. Imagine Staten Island, Albany, Long Island, Hudson Valley, all boosting housing first, housing projects, and integrated services. No more silos. What do you think about the growing homelessness crisis in New York? How long can we ignore the reality of so many lives shattered by poverty and neglect? New York was once a symbol of opportunity, but now so many have been left behind in its shadow. The homeless are not just without homes. They're invisible, erased from the city's narrative. But it doesn't have to be this way. Cities like Houston and countries like Finland are showing us that real change is possible when we prioritize housing and compassion. It's time for New York to take action. We all have a role to play, whether by supporting local nonprofits or simply raising awareness. What can you do to make a difference? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and let's start this journey of change together. Roamkind invites you to be part of the solution.